Hello, and welcome back. It is yet another episode of Corona with Lime. I'm Chris Godwin. That's Adam Levy. How you doing, Adam?
Chris, I'm fantastic.
How's
What an
life, man?
exciting day, man. Episode 11. This is this is crazy town.
Episode 11. I can't believe we've been at this for, God, this has got to be week 6, 7?
Let's see. We
I've lost
started
track.
March 16th and today is April 27th. So it's been about a month and a half, so
Yeah.
we've got that.
This will be our 7th week in quarantine. Um, how you holding in there? How you holding up in there? Are you keeping busy, or still doing housing projects, or still what are you doing to keep busy?
Still doing housing projects. I think my most recent challenge is I'm trying to tackle all the problems with Maryland unemployment. It's been kind of chaotic at best. That's what I've been focusing on. They just opened up a new portal, which has been crashing a lot. They sent out a letter saying how sorry they are that the portal's been crashing and they're trying to do everything possible. Keep in mind, they're able to send me letters, but they still haven't sent me my debit card that has all of my money on it.
Right.
Then they sent me another letter today saying I might not be eligible because of certain things that I'm unaware of. And not only have they put me on hold, but now they're sharing this information with me. So I need to wait to get in contact with somebody hopefully tomorrow. But other than that, everything in the world is amazing. It's so blessed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all kind of just yeah, it's just a one thing at a time situation, and it's complicated and frustrating that like this the story about unemployment, which a lot of us thought were going to be directly addressed by the CARES Act and subsequent measures by Congress, haven't really come through. Sounds like in most cases, still waiting to see if the federal government gets their act together on that. There are some states that have started to pick up the slack elsewhere, some more so than others. But that actually is a great segue into what we're talking to our guest tonight about, Adam, which is the service industry, which
Absolutely.
and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first time we've really tackled. Well, I guess maybe the second time we talked about media, but the first time that the latest time I should say that we're talking about an industry that one of us actually has worked in and done things with.
Yes. Absolutely.
Adam, you have quite a history with the service industry.
Yeah, I do. I started working in restaurants. Actually, that was my very first job. I was going door to door, hanging flyers for a pizza shop. Mom and pop owned pizza shop here in Maryland. Then I started flipping pizzas, then taking orders, so on and so forth. Moved to bagel shops, obviously, and then I got into the wide world of restaurants in the form of being a server, and switched from that side of the service industry to hotels not too long after that. And I worked for Hyatt Hotels for about 7 years in every aspect of the hotel through management up into front office manager. And then, yeah, and most recently, before all the craziness with the quarantines and stuff happened, I was working for a winery as a travel trainer. So I do have a ton of experience in the service industry, and that's kind of laid out my entire professional career up until now.
Yeah,
So yeah,
which is amazing. So I mean, like we really have no need for co-host tonight because the expert du jour is sitting right there, here to answer all of your questions. So if you're watching, get in the chat, ask some questions, and engage with us. We're watching, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. But before we go any further, it is once again our grim task to go through the numbers. So I'll just go ahead and start that now.
take it away.
All right, so last time we were on the air was Thursday. That was April 23rd. At the time, the total cases in the United States was 828,441. Total deaths, 46,379. We are now just a few days later. Total cases has risen to 957,875. Bear in mind, these numbers all come directly from the CDC website, which is actually about 12 to between 12 and 24 hours out of date. So it is conceivable that we have exceeded 1 million by now. We certainly will have by our show on Thursday. And total deaths is 53,922. Just for some context, the United States lost a total of 58,000 servicemen and women in Vietnam in the entire 20 years we were there. And we have lost almost 54,000 just in since January of this year in the United States, really February of this year, in just 2 months. Worldwide, back on Thursday, total cases 2.7 million. Total deaths 190,955, and that number has jumped right up to today. I didn't change the date on that. Sorry, today's the 27th. Total cases 3 million, almost even. Total deaths worldwide 211,368. Well, I mean, that's grim as usual, Adam.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there are places around the world that are getting better. I read today that New Zealand has become, I think, the first country to have 0 new deaths or new cases.
Yeah, I saw something, people giving applause to the Prime Minister of New Zealand?
The Prime Minister of New Zealand, a woman who was amazing.
She did a really good job.
She did a really good job. And the other country that is so far winning the coronavirus sweepstakes to eliminate new cases is Vietnam, of all places.
Wow, that's really cool. It takes me back.
It seems like the irony is lost on just about everybody. So tonight, like we mentioned, is all about the service industry. And so before we get into it, like we like to do, we like to sort of establish the boundary of our discussion, right? Kind of like give what's the big picture, financial numbers, who's involved, what's the status of the service industry overall. And it's a big thing. So the service industry overall it's a big deal. Tonight's questions, though, we want to cover 3 general areas. We want to talk about the current state of the industry, employment options for people who have been furloughed or laid off in the service industry, and what is our I think a recurring theme of our third question, the return to normalcy. How are we going to get there? Are we going to get there? And if so, how? Just run through the numbers a little bit. Total in the United States, 107.8 million people employed in the service sector. Now, what does that mean? That's a big number. The service sector is a big, sort of a nebulous idea. What is that really? So let's go through some of the different sectors of it. Trade, transportation, utility, 27.8 million, by far the biggest sector of the service sectors. Lots of sectors within sectors. The education
Sectors of sectors.
Education and health services. We touched on that a little bit last week on our education episode. Professional and business service sector, 21.5 million. Leisure and hospitality, 16.7 million. Leisure and hospitality, that's clubs, that's hotels, resorts, cruises, things like that. But one of the big ones we want to do a kind of a deep dive into right at the top of the show is the restaurant sector. That is 15.1 million people. 10% of U.S. workers work in a restaurant, either as a server, bartender, manager, busboy, dishwasher. 10% of the U.S. workforce. There are 1 million restaurants, just over than 1 million restaurants in the U.S. Total. 200 million plus people annually frequent restaurants as customers. 60% of U.S. households order from restaurant delivery. Critical in a coronavirus situation, right? And here is our big number for tonight. The online food and beverage sales just for 2020 is expected to exceed $38 billion. And that was the expectation before the coronavirus hit, which is a huge number. Considering like that is a number that affects everybody in every sector of the industry all over the place. It is a huge deal. It's a huge and a growing deal. Um, and I mean, we said $38 billion. Like this was that came from a Business Insider. By the way, all of these statistics you just heard were sourced by Upserve, which is a blog that is connected to the food and beverage industry, restaurant industry, and they publish these statistics on an annual basis. And that's where these are all sourced stats. So, with that in mind, Adam, we have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, those numbers are crazy. I mean, uh, when you think about it, working in the service industry, like you know that there are a lot of restaurants, and you know there's a lot of people you see on a day-to-day basis. People, it's a revolving door in restaurants. Like people are coming in every single day. Uh, I I personally did not know that they translated to those numbers, and I would love to see what the numbers look like after this is all said and done, just to see what the quarantine numbers would look like.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting when we get that data.
So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you're talking right there. That number, the 107 million, like working in the service industry, that's a third of all humans in the United States. That is 71% or so of all the entire workforce in the country. So that's I mean that's we're talking about a huge group of people there, and it affects everybody. You and I both work in service industries in different areas of it, but we're both service sector employees. I think a lot of people we both know are, and everybody we're going to talk to tonight are right in the thick of it. And we have a great mix of people from different areas. When you think of service employees, sometimes like it also includes like professionals who work in the financial services sector. Like I work for a financial services company, but like it also includes people who run things like cleaning services and alcohol distribution services and hotels. And of course, these are all people that we're going to be talking to tonight. And more. So, without further ado, do you want to introduce us to our first guest?
Yes, our first guest is it's actually a close friend of mine. I'm really excited to have him on tonight. He has some expertise that I think will be a different twist than what a lot of people are talking about in this realm. So I look forward to bringing him on here. And without further ado, Oscar, how are you doing, my friend? Oh, we're still waiting for the audio to connect, and that's no problem.
Zoom takes its time with the audio.
This is quarantine problems.
Oscar, it is a pleasure to have you. I've just unmuted you, sir. How are you, man?
Cool. Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's good to see you, man. How you doing?
Yeah,
hi. We're gonna do another beard show, aren't we? I'm so excited about the beard.
How many beards can we have on screen at one time, and is that even legal? These are all questions we're going to be pondering. Oscar, first of all, just to check in with you, man. How have you been? Tell us how you've been doing, and what you've been doing to survive. Tell us a little bit about your business and how you've been surviving overall.
Well, my business name is Legacy Cleaning Team. We do cleaning services for a major home production builder. And we have a contract for the state of West Virginia. We handle about 5 or 6 different projects. And we've been still busy, but it has slowed down. There have been a lot more people taking precautions. There's no more 2 or 3 groups in a house at the same time. It's like if it's our day, and that's it. It's been pretty busy overall. It's slowed down because we actually recently got pushed out of a certain project for another cleaning crew to come in, which is no big deal. It happens all the time in that industry. But it's been fun. It's been fun so far. And me as the owner, I've actually just been kind of staying home a lot, giving more of the hours and more of the pay for all of my employees that I have, about 6 or 7 of them, depending on how they're feeling about going out to the job site that day and what's on the schedule. Because we also handle, professional cleaning for the homes, getting them ready and prepped. And then we handle pressure washing And we also have residential clients as well. Well, all the residential clientele have all but dried up since the beginning of this quarantine. They're all like, no, that's okay. That's all right. We'll stay away. I'm like, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. But in terms of the post construction, then yeah, we've taken extra precautions for all that and had extra steps added on to our workload for it.
Yeah, I mean, which is kind of it's. I mean, it sounds like you've had to do quite a lot of adjusting to the way like you do business, right? Like, it's hard to imagine an area of the service sector that is more intensely, um, literally in touch with the surfaces that we all come in contact with all the time, every day, in and out, especially home and office buildings alike, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
where you just you just touch things, you just make contact with things. There's no
You
way
don't even
around it.
realize it. You
It
don't
is
even realize it.
you don't even realize it. It's automatic. It's part of your day to day. Like the way that you've just become. Everyone in the last 6 or 7 weeks has become very attuned to how often they touch their face. Right? Imagine like the surfaces in a home or an office that you come in contact with all of the time. So you have employees that do this. So when you're training them, do you retrain them to like teach them like, okay, so your usual methods are not safe. How do you adapt those methods to either an office or a home environment?
So most of the employees that I have been there since the beginning. So we all know the general routine, the general jump. Training a new employee is really it's not that hard. Can you handle a vacuum? Can you handle a broom? Can you handle a mop? Sure, easy. Anybody could do that. But now with I'll take for example, we have the contract for model cleanings for the model homes. So people walk in to check these houses out, want to buy these homes, but they want to see what it would look like. Well, we have to take extra precautions for those. So we do a lot of disinfecting, and they've added that to our schedule of things, tasks to do. So we handle 10 models, and all 10 models, just for the disinfecting part, we go in with like Lysol wipes, Lysol spray, alcohol, rubbing alcohol, like just wipe down everything. Every nook and cranny of that home where anybody could have possibly stepped, touched, even breathed on gets wiped down, which is an extra hour, hour and a half
Oof.
minimum per home.
Oh
So,
my
and we
gosh.
do, and they doubled up our workload for that. And I only have like two employees doing that for
How
10
many
models.
how many do you have employed currently?
Seven,
7.
seven. It would have been eight, but one of them has like a chronic respiratory, like, asthma and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
constantly coughing. And some of the guidelines that we were given through this contractor was that if anybody shows any signs like that, they're going to get their name recorded down on the list. They get kicked off the site. And
Sure.
so we already talked to
Yeah,
her, and she's just like, well, that sucks because I don't have this, but I can't go on the site because I still cough because of the, drywall dust and anything that we end up cleaning up.
Of course.
So I couldn't have her on the site. So every now and then I'll send her a little something her way and just be like, look, just to tide you over until this
Sure.
all starts to blow down.
that's great. That's great. Super important. And yeah, I mean, like that's the whole the story of this quarantine is going to be like, how do we protect each other and how do we like help each other out? You
Yeah,
know.
and it's a big responsibility considering as a business owner, I basically look after multiple families and their
Mm-hmm.
livelihoods. And that's a hell of a scary prospect just even without this whole pandemic going on.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Absolutely. What do you have if you in the process of doing work, you talked about how like you have one employee that you can't bring out anymore. Like imagine, I think about this a lot, how like in the midst of this like virus scare
Hmm.
that we're all living through, people still get sick, and people have been sick, and people have had health conditions that they're just like they're still managing. Like it's still
like
happening.
like
And,
normal things.
yeah, the normal stuff. I mean, like normal everything from like like seasonal allergies to asthma to diabetes to cancer. There
Hmm.
are all kinds of diseases that are still being managed on a routinely basis. Some of which require time in like hospitals and require like health insurance and things like that. All of which have been disrupted catastrophically by this mess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, you have seven, 8 employees.
Yeah.
Um, do they come to you with these concerns? And
Yes,
if they
actually,
do,
actually.
and how do you manage them as their employer?
a lot of I actually, for example, my own mother is actually an employee of mine. She helps me out with day to days and does all that. Oh yeah, it's great having a Latina woman yell at you all day. That's I fear nothing in this world except three missed calls from her.
Fantastic.
But in terms of that, she has diabetes. She has a lot of issues with that in terms of like making sure she gets into the hospital to grab meds and stuff like that, or go to the pharmacies. Like she has to take extra precautions when she's on job sites. Before we walk into a home, we basically spray the bottom of before I even visit her. I have to spray the bottom of my own shoes. I have to spray myself with Lysol. I smell awful by the time I walk into that house.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
eau de Lysol, all right?
Wow. It's the new
And I have
cologne.
to take the extra precautions just to even say hello.
Yeah.
Not even like hugging her or anything like that. And that's just anybody that works with me that has any sort of like predisposition to maybe contracting this virus,
Yeah.
and I don't want to take any risks for that. So I have two. My mother and another employee also have company cards to which is like, look, if you find any cleaning supplies or anything that you feel like you need to stay safe, charge it. I don't even care. Don't even ask me for permission to do that. Just do it. It's an added expense. I'll deal with it.
Mm. Um, as a business owner,
Yes.
do you what do you think is going to happen when things either normalize or change moving forward? Are you going to maintain this extra level of precaution? Are you going to change the rules in which, when you're bringing on new associates, how they interact with the world around them in terms of your business?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I mean, I think that some of the steps and precautions we're taking, we should have been taking anyways
Hmm.
for people just getting sick in general. You
Sure.
know, um, our residential clients, once it picks back up, I know that we're going to take the extra precautions for them. Uh, the Some of the new homes that we end up cleaning out, we actually get the project managers to contact us to do a little bit extra to do final clean right before the home settles. It was like, can you take an extra hour and disinfect the whole place? We realized that um, the home's going to be occupied by elderly individuals. Could you take that extra precaution for us? I was like, yes, absolutely, no problems there. We have no problems making sure that in this time, just even if that area doesn't have any sort of cases or there's no real risk of people contracting it, we still don't want to even give that chance that it comes back on either us as a business owner or their company or even their health. We don't want anybody to just up and get sick for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly don't want that to be your fault. I mean, like,
No,
and whether it even can be or not, you just don't even want to entertain that
I don't want
possibility.
any. Nope.
But like, I mean, like the CDC says all the time, like the number one weapon that we have against the virus is soap, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
disinfectant. That's the number one weapon you have, and that's what your business does. Your business wields the tip of the sword.
My
I mean,
hands are so dry from
can we
soap.
drink disinfectant if it works
No,
so well?
don't.
Well, it turns out that some would say you can.
Just kidding.
Just a little
JK's.
combination of
JK's.
like shooting up some Clorox and shining a UV light
Not like freebase
into
some
yourself.
Lysol. Really, that's fine.
Microwaves kill germs too, so that'll be the next step. We'll make just giant microwaves that we can stand
Perfect.
in. That'll kill
Yeah.
the germ.
We'll still be cold in the middle though.
Yep. Uh, and because
So
because of course yes.
yeah, so Oscar, you bring up a really good point. And I was just thinking about this from when I used to work in hotels and from that side of things. I'm sure a lot of people, associates wise, might wonder about uh, payment, getting paid, making money, as well as clients, when you have to take extra time and extra precautions to cover things that at one point we would normally just breeze through. Let's say it adds an hour of extra work in each site or something like that. In a hotel, let's say house cleaning, the housekeeping department has to take now 20 to 30 more minutes per room to be able to clean each room and disinfect it properly. Like, is that how do you cover the difference of the cost for that? Do you hire more associates to cover more rooms at the same amount of time? Do you bring the pay rate up for the employees who are now working extra hard to cover that? Like, this might not be even a question that you can answer. It's just something I was pondering.
No, it's a question that I feel very comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's that like so for instance, when we were approached with our model cleaning
Mm-hmm.
for the extra disinfecting, I had to call. costing manager with them, set up a basically a bid war back and forth between us, saying no, it costs this much, no, we're going to add this much. And judging from the amount that I was actually able to get, I decided to contact the employee that I have in charge for model cleaning and say, hey, look, your workload has doubled, actually almost tripled at this point. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to give you a much higher raise on this, and for as long as we're still disinfecting these homes the way we are, you're also getting a bonus on top of whatever I'm making from that.
That's awesome. That's
every
amazing.
week, every week, it until the
Wow.
foreseeable future. Because as a business owner, I'm still technically making a little bit of a profit, but it's going back to the rest of my employees at this point. Right now, we're on just cruising, just making sure everybody gets paid.
For sure.
Yeah, and I'm guessing.
And
I mean, tell me if this is way off base or not, but it seems like that you would be in a really great position to to hold on to the business you have and maybe expand. I mean, like these services are not going to go anywhere anytime soon. There's going to be demand for this.
No,
maybe more so than before.
Absolutely. Right now, I know that we are in a position where we could absolutely expand if we wanted to, but it's a lot more risk for the current employees that I have.
So you're looking to take care of the employees that are there, make sure everyone's stable.
They were here since day one. I'm going to make sure that they get taken care of first. And then after that, moving on, we'll grow.
It would be so wonderful if every business owner in the United States was just like you, Oscar. That would be so great.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
We would all be living in a better world. Well, I mean, Adam, I think that's a great transition point. I think we're ready for guest number 2.
Let's bring it on. Oscar, please feel free to stay.
Please stay.
Chill with us, chime in on everything.
Yeah,
this is going to be a fun time tonight.
Yeah. Make yourself a cocktail, hang out, rest a while, and chill. I assure you that we will. So our next. So why don't you set up our next guest, Adam? This is a good friend of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe our next guest is Omar. Am I correct?
Correct.
Oh my gosh, there he is.
Yeah, look at that.
Omar and I go way back. We used to work together at Hyatt. He still works for Hyatt. And actually, when I moved overseas to Vietnam, he had a trip that was planned to go out there coincidentally just a couple weeks after I had gotten there. So we got to travel around Vietnam together. It's awesome. But there is nobody that I would trust more with my hotel information than this gentleman right here. He's a good friend, and it's been a while since we've caught up. So I'm actually really excited to have him on the show. Omar, how are you, bud?
Adam, I'm doing great, man. This is so cool. I feel like a celebrity.
You are a celebrity, bud.
All lies. Omar, sorry, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. Tell me first of all, check in. How are you doing? What's your situation like? How are you?
I'm doing great. Appreciate being on the show. Appreciate the question. Continuing with the beard trend you guys have going on. I thought my furlough beard would leave me looking like the shaggy one here tonight, but then I saw you guys, and
we got that covered.
I realized, yeah, you guys got me beat.
That's the real reason we do the show every week. Is just so that I can, Adam and I are both on camera, and I can be like, oh, right, somebody has a crazier looking quarantine beard than I do. So that's good. I'm glad you're.
Adam. I mean, shoot, man, you look like a Ginger Freeway.
I was watching
anybody
a lot of Game of Thrones
Freeway,
before this.
The rapper. You got to check him out. This guy is like, the Jewish version.
Okay.
I thought you were going to go with Tormund Giantsbane from Game of Thrones, but I'll take it.
That's more current.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
That's where I immediately go every time. Omar, tell me a little bit about what you do and what you're seeing in your line of work. What's going on with work-wise with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all jokes aside, definitely here on furlough. So, like Adam said, we met working at Hyatt together at my first Hyatt stop. I've been at multiple Hyatt properties in 7 years with the company, and finally got to San Diego, the city I've always wanted to be in, and the position, assistant leadership that I've always sought after. And then this happened. So just like all the heart of house colleagues, all the front of the line colleagues, our hourly colleagues, leadership is in the same boat. I'm furloughed until further notice. Good to know I have a job back for when the time comes. But until then, it's just me and the wifey. She's also in the hospitality game, also at the hotel, not mine, but working at a hotel and also on furlough. So definitely spending a lot of time together, which could go one of two ways, but it's been going great. So
Awesome. Leading up to this, when everything started popping up, started like when you could start to feel that things were about to make a change, what was it like in hotels leading up to that?
yeah, I mean, it all happened so fast. And I remember going to Tahoe with some buddies, Ari, as you
Oh,
know,
nice. Yeah.
the last weekend of February. And during that time, we had the first group cancel at our hotel, which was YPO. And since then, it was a domino effect. And I
Mhm.
came back from that ski trip, and it's like the whole hospitality world ended. By the time I got back, it was other groups that were canceling, future groups, and till this day, there's still groups from June, July that are in the same boat. So it's going to be a long path back, but Hyatt strong, hospitality strong. You've been seeing that go around over social media, and it couldn't be truer. So.
Would you say YPO, is that the Young Presidents Organization? Those guys?
Yeah, they were the first big group to cancel, and they had to make a tough call. And at the time, it was like, man, like I wish they could have just made it work. But now, knowing what we know now, you can't argue with the call that they made, because as we all know, it's a serious business. Referring to COVID and coronavirus, and I think they made a judgment call, and knowing what we know now is the right call. But that was definitely the first domino to fall, and after that, it's been nearly every group since then.
Yeah, that's about right. I remember like it was right around the end of February, early March, where like people started hearing about this in a serious way. And everybody like, I remember my first reaction was like, "Is this really as serious as they're saying it is? Like,
Right.
is this bird flu all over again?"
Oh, I was skeptical for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I was poking fun at it, and and all that, and sure enough, here we are.
Because there have been a bunch of them, right, over the years. Like since like I mean, I remember
Yeah,
going back to like 2007 or 8. Like there was bird flu and swine flu, H1N1, and there was the
SARS and
SARS, and then SARS,
Ebola,
and
and yeah,
it was like oh no, it was
yeah.
Lucy in the football, right? And then eventually
I,
like
I, I
Lucy like
thought,
leaves the football there.
yeah.
I guess we got it, right? It's just kind of
Totally. Clearly, there's something different with what we're facing now. I mean, super obviously contagious, but I mean, we're all itching to get back to work when it's safe. And although the forecast for the rest of 2021 or 2020 here isn't where we thought it would be. This was actually going to be a record-setting year for the hospitality industry. We were at the top of the roller coaster, and and here we are now, and it's going to take a while to get back, but we'll get there.
because the hospitality industry is like so tied to the economy, right? When the economy
100%.
is over, it's heating up, it's humming along, everything's great. The Dow is above 30,000, like everybody's doing great, and then suddenly
Yeah.
like kaput. It happens so fast. Like
And I graduated college 08, so I started my hospitality career right then. And I mean, I remember having to leave one hotel to go to another. The company I was with at the time, I was with Starwood, but they were able to keep me, not at the same property, but I was able to work throughout that time. But I remember when it happened and the way that it impacted business. So now, it seems like it's been forever since then, but here we are again, kind of battling back.
I mean, it's weird too, because I was listening to NPR the other day, and there was like a lot of talk about how when they were doing all these profile stories that they like to do when crises like this happen, they're like, oh, this reminds us a lot of the 2008 thing. When 2008 there was this big zeitgeist, and all of us went through that because we all graduated, around the same time, and it was like there was like this moment, this era of like what's going to happen next, and there were a lot of great things happened out of that. that time. People survived. They came through 2010. On the other side, all new businesses were started. New ideas for businesses were created. New products were developed. A new reliance on technology kind of took over, right? And it seems like that there's like a parallel narrative being built around this. And I think that people in the hospitality and the service industries, especially, are going to be at the intersection of that innovation. You're going to have to. I mean, I think to a certain extent, as soon as this is over, the first thing everyone's going to want to do is buy a plane ticket to get the heck away from wherever it is they've been stuck for the last
I
however many
hope so,
weeks.
man. I hope so.
Right?
I pray
I mean,
for that.
I know I'm itching for it. I'm a road trip. Adam can tell you I'm a road trip guy. I love getting in my car.
Well, I
and,
could
like,
see
driving
road
somewhere
trips.
random.
I can see people driving. I worry about how quick people will feel comfortable flying again.
Yeah,
And
right.
The worst flight I can.
yeah.
Like,
and the hotel I'm at, I mean, huge hotel, business hotel. We rely on business travel, and I don't know when businesses will deem it safe to send their people all around the country, the world again. Especially now, as we see. I mean, here I'm using Zoom for the first time. We've heard so many people using Zoom while being working from home. I don't think it'll ever be the same again. I mean, this is certainly a turning point. This is going to speed up the development of robotics and automation and artificial intelligence. And
Yeah.
anybody thinking that, we're going to go back to how things were, it's going to be different, and we're going to have to operate different. We're going to have to be inventive and look at things different ways, and still find a way to kind of be profitable and take care of our guests like we always have.
So
100%.
do you remember back in the day, and I'm not sure if this still exists, I only actually ran into it once or twice, but there was a way that I think Diamond members could check in remotely. There were people who could check in remotely without having to talk to anybody, and they could get checked in from a private entrance and stay away from anyone altogether. But if that becomes more mainstream, like, that's already a built-in part of the process for people who like to do things on their own and do their thing to get where they need to go. I mean, when it comes to hotels and talking to people with this new thing, like, you could see a ton more of that as a trend in hotels.
For sure. I mean, remote check-ins already started to take off, but this is only gonna speed it up. I mean, if you have that ability and it's easy to use, and I think that's the key. If it's easy to use and they get the room that they like, 100%. I mean, and ultimately, the more that people adopt that, if you think about it, the better for hotels, because you could operate with less labor, and labor, as sensitive we are to that and to people being unemployed right now at the same time, it's a huge cost, and it's something that you have to manage to remain profitable, especially as we're going to have added costs with cleaning rooms like you were talking about earlier. Who knows how this could impact cleaning a room and having to sanitize and hand sanitizer all over hotels and disinfectant products all over. I mean, it's going to change the way we do business, and anything that we can do to help remain profitable during this time, as our companies have taken such a beating, is going to be super important.
Yeah. Now, like, when you finally get back into working in the industry, do you think the logistics is going to be a problem? Getting all your cleaning supplies in, making sure that all your employees are coming back. Because I know some of them would probably be like, "Oh, this is a godsend. This is my chance to start my own career somewhere else."
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, I'm going to come on back. But like, the issue that I'm having with my cleaning company is mostly, getting a hold of cleaning supplies, because a lot of people are still hoarding to this day. Do you feel like the hospitality industry is going to be feeling that impact as well, even though they have some of their own distribution?
Yeah. I mean, great question. And now we're hearing so much about how potentially supply chain is going to be impacted by this. And I know towards the end of my time working, when all this started going down, that we were having trouble sourcing the amount of hand sanitizer that we needed and different products. And I hope that doesn't continue, and that by the time we get back, that's something that's considered, and that all of our usual suppliers have been working during this time where so many of their hotels are not open. Hopefully that our suppliers have taken that as an opportunity to kind of build their supply of these products, because when we reopen, we're going to need them. And I'd imagine there's going to be a lot more of that moving forward, especially until there's a vaccine.
And I feel like when the industry starts opening back up in terms of all the hospitality, that like the demand is going to be enormous. Do you feel like a lot of our distributors are going to be able to keep up?
I mean, it's hard to tell, and it's really, I mean, there's so much uncertainty still at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what I've been doing in my spare time while I've been furloughed, I've been playing the stock market quite a bit. And if you look at all the stocks like Kimberly Clark that supplies toilet paper and Clorox, I mean, those are the stocks amongst a lot of others. But those are some stocks that are really booming right now
Mm-hmm.
because of the need for those products. And we've all experienced it firsthand. I mean, trying to go to the grocery store to find toilet paper
Yeah.
and things like that. I mean, it took me months just to find some. So it's crazy. I mean, these are unprecedented times. But
I never thought I would go to a grocery store and get mean bugged by a 65-year-old lady when I was holding a bag of wipes.
oh yeah, I mean,
That
I just
happened
came
to you?
back from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Straight
God.
like gangsta. I'm gonna go to the trunk, clap, clap, let's go.
Oh,
Wow.
Give me that toilet paper.
It's
I
cutthroat
mean,
out there. It's really cutthroat.
It's true. Well, there's one thing that I could say for everyone here in this group, at least, is that we are in industries that usually get hit first in this kind of downturn.
Yeah.
But with no statistical backing, I've always felt like we are the ones that bounce back the fastest and the hardest, because
Mhm.
in a time where people are shut away for so long from being
Mhm.
able to be social and be out, for everyone who loves to travel, who can't, especially to San Diego, which is such a beautiful travel destination, like tourism is the most prominent thing in San Diego. Um,
And we think
I'd
there's going
say
to be a lot more of that tourism kind of local or from California within driving distance. And, you know, we're shifting our marketing and our efforts towards more leisure business now. And we hope and expect, like you said, that when these stay at home restrictions get removed and people have been cooped up for so long, that they're ready to just be back and go to restaurants and go to hotels and, you know, do it in a safe way. But I think we'll bounce back, and we're going to bounce back better than ever. And you know, I know Oscar there has been taking care of his employees, and I mean Hyatt's been really, for being such a large company, to be paying for you know, everyone who's out, the our portion of the medical expenses and things like that, along with the employee
amazing.
portion, and really kind of looking out. And Adam, as you know, Hyatt care for people so they can be their best, right? And I think
Absolutely.
now it's up to companies to really put those purposes into practice and not forget about what got them to where they are, and that is those foundational principles. And I don't think we're going to lose those. I think they're going to come into effect even more so when we get back, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's such an amazing point that you brought up, because I think this is the type of scenario that shows, that demonstrates which companies back what they say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
which companies put their money where their mouth is. So many companies were like, "Oh, we love our people," and then turn tail
Right.
and run. Right. But
Yeah.
then there's other companies like mine. I work for Cooper's Hawk, which is a winery and restaurant. And they have been so fantastic at taking care of people, in the fact that they make, every other day they make meals that you can come and pick up for you and your family. You just
That's
show
really
up
cool.
at the door. It's totally free. You just go in, tell them how many family members you're picking up for, and you pick up multiple sets of meals that you take home, so you actually have a fresh made meal every day. It's so fantastic, and that's such a great part about working for a company that actually believes in what they're talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The last thing I did at work was hand out all of our food and all of the toilet paper, everything that we had available. We had an assembly line, and just all the leadership of the hotel handing grocery bags out to all the employees. And we have nearly 1,000 employees. So, you know, we had a lot of demand and a lot of people that were, you know, hit pretty hard by this. So to be able to at least do something for them is great. And any company that doesn't and gets any bad PR from the way they act during these times, I think they're going to have a hard time once things get better, because people are going to remember that.
For sure. Did
how did
you
you
did
handle
you
the
guys have
COVID? You
did
know?
you guys have a cook-off day to cook off all the food?
I wasn't there for a cook off,
Oh.
but we definitely put a damper on a lot of the kegs. So I was a big part of that. I feel really proud to have really tried our best not to waste any beer.
It was my day off, and I went in on the last day that the restaurant knew that they were going to be open. So since I was there, I was just eating lunch, and I was like, well, I can stay and help you guys clean. Like, I mean, if you're going to be cleaning with like two people, like, I'm not doing anything else, so I might as well stay and clean. So I stayed and cleaned, and I'm so happy I did, because I didn't realize that that was our cook-off day. So they literally cooked everything that we had in stock at that moment, not knowing what was going to happen moving forward.
And
So,
not knowing you were coming.
Exactly.
That probably would
they're like, "Ooh, we shouldn't have done this."
Shit. Yeah.
Steaks, pork chops, every single. It was I was like, wow, like why can't it always be like this? This is amazing.
That must have been delicious.
It was
man.
quite
You guys made
tasty.
some amazing food too. So
Oh.
that's no joke there.
Super good.
That's fascinating and well said. Because speaking of meals, let's transition a little bit to the food and beverage side of the service industry. And I'm afraid we're also going to have to break our beard streak. I'm so sorry, gentlemen.
Oh man.
But now it's time for time to bring in the ladies.
She doesn't have a beard?
Oh
my gosh.
She better come in
Please.
with like a fake beard.
I suppose you could be talked into it, but you'll never know. Elise is there somewhere.
Hello.
How are you, Elise? Can you hear us?
I'll take that as a yes.
Maybe not. Can you hear us?
What are you?
I get more time, guys. Let's do this.
Woo!
At least can I borrow $1,000?
This is my big break. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Thanks, Elise.
But anyway, so we'll get Elise connected to audio in a second. But that's on.
In the meantime, why don't you give an introduction?
Yes. So Elise and I go way back. Elise has some great high level approach to the entire industry. So she has when I met her, she was a bartender in LA, but she's also been a personal chef, and she now does all kinds of wine distribution in the Denver, Colorado area.
Nice.
So. And I mean, that's kind of a crazy career. That's a 360 look, right? You get a lot of different perspectives. And Elise, can you hear us yet?
I can hear you.
Yes, there she is.
Yeah. Woo!
I was just gushing about you. So Elise is a pro. I mean, she knows the food and beverage industry inside and out, and that's why I wanted to have her on tonight, because she's a pro and she knows what's up. So first of all, checking in real quick, Elise, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Just living the dream with my beautiful vaporwave background.
I was trying to get my own, but I couldn't figure it out, so it's the wall.
I try to switch it up every week and try to do something weird and random, maybe on topic. And I was like, I can go on topic this week, or I could just do 80s vaporwave.
I think that's better. You nailed it.
Exactly. Well, tell us a little bit about first of all what it is that you do. You're a wine distributor, and you're all about the beverage side of that industry. Talk about a little bit what you do and what kind of challenges you're facing right now. I'm sure there are plenty.
Oh yes. So I am a key account manager for a wine supplier and a producer in Napa, California, but I'm based in Colorado. So I've been, out in the market constantly. When this whole thing started, I was making fun of it too. I didn't think it was real. And then all of a sudden one day,
it turns out.
I was like, yeah, this is nothing. And then all of a sudden, I'm pulling up to a restaurant to show my support, because as a part of my profession, I go into retail accounts, so liquor stores, and then I also go to off-prem is liquor stores, and then on-prem is restaurants. So, and event spaces and things like that. So I visit all these accounts to show my support and keep that relationship going. But then, one day I drive up to a restaurant, my boss calls me and he says, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just about to go into such and such and support one of our wines that they have there. And he goes, go home. I'm like, what? And tells me to go home. And then, says that this is getting pretty serious. And they just announced at Denver, they were shutting down all on-prem / restaurants in the area and multiple areas around the state. So I had to go home, and then I had to start brainstorming, how I was going to be out in the market, one, salvage or continue the relationship, but also keep safe, because all of a sudden everyone had a stay-at-home order, and my company was still expecting me to get out there with face mask, gloves, the whole thing. So, I was one of the only suppliers that was out in the market, still seeing the retailers since the on-prem business had been shut down. At first, they were just doing to-go and delivery, and then to incorporate some additional income for the restaurants, they were offering to-go booze. So you could get a bottle of wine or a to-go cup of a margarita, which I don't know if that sits well with me because they're like, okay, don't drink and drive, kids.
It's only for the road. Only for the road.
Yeah.
In my area, they have it
Yeah,
too.
the to-go cocktails has become quite the thing in the last month and a half. Everywhere, including places that depend on cars. I worry a little bit about that too, but yes, go on. Sorry.
Right. That was so silly. It's like, how tempting is that? You have a glass of booze in your car and they're telling you not to drink it, but it's right there.
It's right.
So,
it's like drive-through liquor stores in the South.
We had a drive-through liquor store in our town for the longest time. I think it's no, I have to check.
Yeah, I call that civilization. Now, there are so many thoughts. First of all, so many people around the country and around the world who deal with beverages in general, in all different kinds of ways, just distribution, bartending, whatever. It seems like that's become kind of like the new way to kind of cope through this economically, anyway, which is to sort of sell in bulk.
Right.
Or I was hearing about a guy in New York recently who basically he had a chain of bars, and he has given up selling individual drinks entirely. Now he just sells literal bottles of liquor through the window of his bar. Hey, you got $20? Here's a bottle of Jack, that kind of thing.
Right.
That has become kind of a thing. How do you feel about that? Is that going to be in terms of the future of bars? All of us love to go to bars and restaurants. We all go out. What's the future? What's the future look like there?
Unfortunately, with this whole thing, there are a lot of restaurants that are temporarily closed and not, a part of this to-go delivery service. They just can't. They're smaller, they're not very busy in general, or, they have a medium steady flow, but it's not, it's not worth it to stay open. And there are, loan relief programs and such that restaurants are taking advantage of, which is great, but I don't know the extent of that. Unfortunately, I feel like because we've been hit so hard and we don't know how long, we don't know how many restaurants are going to come back. I think that quite a bit are going to be shut down permanently. And then that is open real estate for anybody who wants to snatch it up and monopolize the market, and buy all these places and then turn it into whatever they want, which could be really bad. So you don't really know what way it's going to go, and it's affecting everybody. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Making sure my connection is stable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
It
wonder.
said something and then it. Okay.
Sometimes audio will come in and out, but I could understand
you. Based on what you were just saying, Elise, I wonder how this will affect the food truck industry, as opposed to brick and mortar. I wonder if this will open the door for more residential allowances for food trucks, because I know there's a lot of permits that you have to get. Most food trucks can't drive down normal suburb streets. You actually have to be in a common area, depending on state. But I wonder now, the fact that everything, you can control cleaning a food truck so much easier than cleaning an entire restaurant, and making sure that food can get to people, instead of having a lot of people come to you. I wonder if that will do something to food trucks. But you stand six feet apart, though. Stand 6 feet apart. But other than that,
right. They can't. They could drive up to an area where they have a permit to sell and have markers, going down in a, a line, making sure everyone kind of stays 6 feet. But if you're drunk in front of a brewery and need some food, I don't think anybody's going to be abiding by the personal, the social distancing.
6 feet space.
It's kind of impossible. So, I mean, I hopefully, things will start to come back online soon. I was out in the market this whole time until 2 Fridays ago, and then I got furloughed. So it doesn't just affect people on one side of the service industry, it affects everybody. And I was always in the service industry, in front and back of the house. And then I became the sales side, which, is a completely different beast. And then all of a sudden to say, because of all these on-prem accounts shutting down or have limited service, your numbers are cut in half. So basically, they had to let every key account manager in every state go to furlough, and then also the district managers. It's a domino effect, no matter how you slice it, no matter how long this goes on, and hopefully, and it's for further notice as well for me. But when everything comes back, it's going to take time for the numbers to start to build back up, because everybody's hurting, and not a lot of people, when things start going back to normal, having the option to go back to your job if it's closed down, that's not a guarantee. So, for businesses like the one I'm a part of, for them, they're huge. I mean, they're in every single state. So how long is it going to take for those sales to go back up and those people to get jobs again, go back and spend money, and then give everybody else their jobs?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. The velocity of money in an economy, like where it starts and what are those intersection points? And I think the main intersection point is this. It's places like hotels and bars and restaurants, which is where everyone goes. That's where everybody goes. Right. When they leave their house, it's probably one of those places. So it's like, and that it makes sense that it would be like that. Now it sounds like they hung on to you for a while. Like you were going until you said 2 weeks ago is when they finally furloughed you. So
two Fridays ago.
Yeah. So you survived through this for the better part of a month. But what was the breaking point? Was it a financial thing, or was it a health concern thing?
It's financial, definitely. I mean, because right now in the state of Colorado, there's around 9,000 cases, more than 9,000. I'm assuming now. So out of every state, I mean, I feel like we're pretty low. They just started kind of opening up like tiny little businesses this week. But there's a lot of a lot of retailers that were doing curbside and delivery only in the liquor stores because they were afraid of, everyone being exposed to it. And then today, one of them, one big one, just opened back up to limited traffic. So yeah, it's called Hazel's in Boulder. And so they're starting to open it up to people. It's a great, huge liquor store, has everything. But I'm just saying, it's like little tiny things like this are happening. Hopefully it continues to happen that way and it just gets better. But we'll see.
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Well, I mean, I think that there's, I think cautious optimism is healthy. But I think we would all do at some point. Everybody's going to get let out of their houses, and everyone's going to want to go to the bar.
I'm going to lose it.
There's going to be a lot of drunk people everywhere.
Did you have anything you wanted to bring up, Oscar, on this?
Yeah, I have a question. So you only got furloughed about 2 weeks ago. So when you were working in your account management and all that stuff, and did you see that like the distributors, all the networks and the orders coming in and everything like that, did you see a slow gradual change, or was it just an immediate plummet?
Well, retailer sales skyrocketed like it was holidays. They were making way above what they normally make at this time of year. And then all of the restaurants, obviously their numbers went way down. So there's all these sales representatives who, have on-prem and then off-prem. And so they were trying to brainstorm how to still keep these people working, the on-prem people, and bring them over to the off-prem to help them out in some sort of way, because the off-prem has been so busy. However, it kind of got into a lull. I mean, still above the percentage from last year. However, sales did drop dramatically. So there's a lot of changes going on in the distribution companies that are pending, but I can't really talk about it. So,
Right.
Unfortunately, it's just
She
the
could tell
nature.
us, but she'd have to kill us.
There's this
and we don't want to go through
I
that.
can't say anything.
There's this one statistic that's been thrown around a lot, which is that alcohol sales have jumped 243%, according to MarketWatch.com, since the beginning of this. But I think that's a dubious number because it, and if you dive into it, it's like, well, what that really means is like retail liquor store sales, right? So everybody went that last week of March and spent like thousands of dollars, millions of dollars globally on booze, so they could stock up and like hibernate with handles and handles of Jameson, I guess.
Oh god, that sounds
Jameson and toilet paper.
That's all I ever buy. That's
how you go through the pack.
So,
now we figured it out. That's how you get through it. That's how you make all those packs
Yes.
go away.
That's what my bunker is full of.
yes, well that explains everything. Yeah, but it's like, but of course there's going to be a drop off because everyone goes there early. Everyone hears about it. They're like, oh my god, I'm going to buy all the toilet paper. Oh my god, I'm going to buy all the Jameson, and then crash, and then it ends, and then it's the navigation out of that dip, and that's what we're going to see between now and the end of May, right, and into June is the navigation out of that dip, and how do you exceed that gravity, which is intense, right? I mean, that's at least it's kind of what it sounds like you're saying, is that like. Yeah, it was like holiday level sales, and then followed by a little bit of a crash, and then what next? I guess everyone's runs out of booze for their quarantinis.
I don't know. I mean, there was one day here that the Denver governor decided to announce, or the mayor, whichever, same, doesn't matter. Just kidding.
Dude.
They said they announced that everyone has to stay at home, and that liquor stores were not essential. In that 2-hour time frame,
oh my god,
everybody rushed the liquor stores, and they like quadrupled their sales in like 5 hours.
So crazy.
And then they came back on and said, never mind.
JK, this is clearly essential. Clearly essential.
It's like the gun stores.
If you're watching and if you work in government at any level, this is PR lesson 101. Do not take away the people's access to booze.
Guns and liquor. That's where everybody was rushing.
Or the dispensaries.
About this.
Or the dispensaries. It's medicinal.
Come on, I'm in California over here.
It's medicine. It's medicine.
Yeah. Or pot for that matter. Not good. Yeah. It's not a good idea. Just let people get it. That's like the one thing. This is the one time where it's like permissible to get like drunk and stoned all day. Just like
it's actually we're being encouraged to do it.
Right?
Just let it happen. Let it happen. I mean, it's
just let it happen.
If you're a governor of a state, that's if that's the worst that happens in your state, then you're better off than most.
Right.
I wrote an article today that smoking blocks coronavirus. So who knows?
Yeah.
There you go. You heard it here.
I don't want to spread any false. I don't want anyone drinking Lysol.
If more people started smoking pot from a public service announcement like that, I think it would be okay. It's better than injecting disinfectants into yourself. I'd say
for sure.
Smoking pot would
100%.
be a better way to cure that.
It's possible that if certain people in Michigan smoked weed more often, they would probably be less inclined to block the entrances to hospitals and protest. Okay.
I don't know. I have a lot of friends in Michigan. I'm from there. They love to smoke, so I don't know what they're doing.
Maybe they forgot where they were and happened to be in front of the protest. They're like, "Oh wait, we're not supposed to be here."
This isn't a dispensary.
Wait a second. What is
where we're
this?
To be, man.
We're
supposed to go to White Castle.
Why is everybody so mad?
I know. Why are you so mad? Dude?
Why are they angry,
chill
man?
Out. Watch a movie. Catch up on Netflix. I think it's good advice. We have before we go, we have one more guest. Adam, do you want to?
Absolutely.
We have a surprise fourth guest. If you want to intro.
Yeah, this is actually a friend of mine that goes way back. It is my friend Bryce and his wife Callie. Um, hey, you guys, how are
Bryce
you
and
doing?
Callie.
Oh, it says their audio is being connected.
They're connected to audio. Bryce and Callie, how are you guys?
Um,
Oh,
we go so far back. I think what was it, 2001, 2002? Video games. This is where video games makes the greatest connections because we played video games together on original Xbox. Crimson Skies. For anybody who hasn't played that game, I highly suggest you find maybe a dead server. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, these are connections we made a long time ago. And Bryce's wife, Callie, is going to be talking about what she does professionally and how it relates to the service industry. I believe she works in salons. But now that she's here, we can hear from her. How are you doing, Callie?
I'm good. I want to go back to work as soon as possible, but other than that, I'm hanging in there.
For sure. I got you. So tell me exactly what do you do and what's been going on with you? How are you? Like, what's your situation? Just tell us everything.
So I have been a hairstylist for 13 years, and I've actually 15 years, but I've worked in the same salon for 13 years.
Mhm.
And we have a very close-knit salon family. There's about 28 of us, and we all get along super well, and our clients are hardcore. So we didn't shut down until our governor actually made the call to shut us down. So I remember so we officially shut down on Saturday, the 4th of April at 5 p.m. And I remember we had heard rumors on the 3rd that we might be shut down, and we were just trying to stay open as long as possible because our clients just wanted to get in so bad. And we were still complying with everything. So we were making sure that there weren't more than 3 stylists, which meant 3 stylists and 3 clients was 6. And then a front desk person and maybe 1 or 2 assistants. So we never had more than 10 people in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of just hoped we could swing by with that. And then we got the news on the 4th that we had to be completely shut down by 5 p.m. on Saturday, the 4th of April. And that's when we shut down and had to start rearranging clients on the schedule and trying to do things for anyone who was scheduled anyways, it was crazy. That whole Saturday was nuts.
So a couple questions. One, how big of a space are you guys working with? Was it spacious enough where you could have like a client with a stylist in one area and a client where there wasn't a lot of like, I guess, close contact type of thing?
So I would say the closest contact was between the stylist and the client. So yes, we do have a big enough building that the front desk area is a whole separate area. And then there is no more than 4 chairs per wall. And we only scheduled stylists at every other station, if not further apart. So yes, we had at least a 6-foot distance, except between the stylist
and
the
client, of course, because it'd be hard to style hair from 6 feet away.
100%. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that though.
My other question is going to be around hours leading up to the closure. Were your hours reduced leading up to it, or were your hours increased because of the demand of people who wanted to come in and see you guys?
So I am super lucky with where I work, where my boss actually sent out a text to all of us and said, hey, are any of the situations where you have an immunodeficient person in your house? And if so, do you not want to work, or do you want to work? How much do you want to work? All of that. Fortunately, it's just me and my husband in my house. And so I said, yes, I want to work as much as possible. And the 2 coworkers next to me didn't. So I got lucky enough that I was able to work more and fill my schedule. And I have a few clients who are either going through chemo or some kind of treatment like that, and they had to be rescheduled. But other than that, I got lucky and I was able to accept clients. But the rest of my salon, it was a crazy mess of trying to say, hey, so-and-so is uncomfortable working, therefore we need to reschedule you. You can come see one of the other 3 stylists that is willing to work. And so it was a giant juggle show.
Sure.
It was, yeah.
Are you still able to qualify for unemployment now that you've been furloughed?
Yes. I think I'm fortunate in that technically I'm not considered a furlough. I'm a commission worker, and fortunately, and I hate this, but thanks to the Minimum Wage Act, even commission workers have to be hourly wage appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So my boss and the owner of my salon, even though we're commission, has always had to fill out taxes and forms that says we meet the Minimum Wage Act.
Of course.
And so because of that, when we file taxes, technically we are also hourly.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I did qualify for unemployment, and I'm super grateful for that.
For sure. I think once everyone gets the unemployment that is being touted through the unemployment plus the CARES Act, I think that'll help out a lot of families. I think that there's a lot of people who are feeling the pressure of those bills because of the individual state response to some of the situation in getting that money into the people's hands. But I do know that a lot of states are actually super lenient right now on people who are still able to work, but working at a reduced rate, and that you can still apply for the unemployment benefits, even with the working the reduced rate, which
Right.
allows you to still work and qualify. And I think that that's an amazing thing, especially if your business gets deemed that it's allowed to open up for a period of time and you can get back in and work with a few clients. You still get to generate your income, plus you get to generate the unemployment. I think that's a big thing.
I would love that. I think for me, the biggest thing that I don't think has been touched on here, I love your other 2 guests and I love everything they said, and I totally agree with it. For me, it's a huge hit on the mental and emotional.
Yes.
Just because I have always lived by, there are so many things to be stressed out in life about that hair shouldn't be one. And now all of a sudden it's on top of everything else. But also I get such good feelings and good vibes by interacting with people every day.
Yeah.
And making them feel good about themselves. And so that was my biggest struggle the first week out. Like the first week when the governor said, no, you have to close, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. You know, I think you
Kelly,
just...
Where are you right now?
Arizona.
You're in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And is your state, I don't remember which category Arizona is in. Is it in are you a mandatory lockdown state, or is it a what's your situation?
It's not mandatory. It's an executive stay home order.
Okay. Stay at home
in our state right now. So like you can still have one person from your household leaving for work or going to the grocery store or things like that.
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head for a lot of us, especially in this group of people. You know, this episode is specific about the service and hospitality industries, right? Mm-hmm. And for most of us, especially when we started in it, like hospitality and service isn't known for being a high paying job. It's not like the place where you're going to become a multi-millionaire. But we all...
Definitely not in the beginning.
Definitely not in the beginning.
No,
but it's the place where we all begin because we love working with people. We love the interactions with other people. And that kind of gets us going. You know, that for sure fuels me, which is why I've always been in the service industry. It's why I've worked with people one-on-one. It's what I love. So I totally agree with you on that. Like having that cut off from me is definitely something that's taking its toll. I don't mind staying at home playing video games. I'm cool with that, but I definitely miss that personal interaction that I get from like being around other people and feeling what other people are feeling, especially in a service side of things where you're helping them with something that they need help with.
I feel like the ones that are still essential right now like myself and my company, like it has taken a toll mentally on a lot of us because no one wants to get up and go to work and feel anxiety about like what ifs.
Hmm.
Well, maybe this might happen, or what if we run into somebody that does happen? What if we, you know, get caught up by the police and we don't have our essential employee letters or something like that? Like,
Yep.
what if we lose these contracts right now, or we lose our jobs right now because of everybody's minimizing everything? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Um, Callie, so I would say that it's kind of an interesting thing, and just say we are not a political affiliation of any sort here. We just talk our minds and share our perspectives. But in the news a lot
Uh-oh.
recently with protests,
Oh,
everyone
boy.
has these signs saying, "Let me get my hair cut." Like, how does that make you feel?
Please help me.
Brian
Right.
Kemp, governor of Georgia, specifically calling out beauty salons, nail salons, in his reopening of Georgia on Friday.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been heavy, and we were sharing. I remember my boss's wife and I talking on the Saturday right before we had to shut down at 5 p.m. and I squeezed in so many people that day that I was like, is it okay if I'm still cleaning up after myself after 5 p.m.? And she said yes. And honestly, if I could share with the governor the messages from clients that get left with us, they would probably change their mind on whether or not we're essential workers. So it is definitely hard. And I also think my situation is a tiny bit different than others just because I do have individual clients. Very few that I'm comfortable with giving my personal number to, but I actually have individual clients that I have given my number to, and they are reaching out to me and asking for service. And I've only gone out once, and it's a client whose mom is going through chemo, and they connect on haircuts. And I went to their house and just did it pro bono because
That's
I can't
cool.
charge and it's in their home. So I went to their house and cut both of their hair, and I'm grateful for that. And I love that. And I finally got to be able to connect. But yeah, I have at least 3 text messages a day from, no joke, it's at the most 10 clients that have my number.
Mm.
And
You know,
So I'm not the only guy texting past barbers. That
Right.
makes me feel better.
right. No, you are not.
Like, please help, 911.
Yep.
You know, as a charitable like nonprofit, that's such an amazing thing for you to go and do it pro bono, like just to take care of somebody. It's hard to explain the feeling that you get after like a fresh cut. Like you feel like a new person. You feel like you're a real human again. And when you sit inside of a cave for months and you let your hair grow out and stuff like that, like it's one of those things, like to be reintroduced into society, you kind of feel more normalized, or the way things were. So I think that's amazing.
Sorry, for her specifically, it was, she had reached out because her mom actually had a chemo treatment that day, and was like, she actually reached out on a Saturday, and her mom had a chemo treatment on Monday, and expressed that her mom just was feeling so down and was so done with chemo. And I was like, hey, I'm happy to come to your house and cut both of your hair and just
That's
set you
wonderful,
on.
though.
And I did it before her chemo so that she could sit in the hospital. And I miss that. I miss that feeling of just making people feel happier and better about themselves. And I can't wait to get back to work.
Mm.
Well, if you want to come to San Diego, please.
Road trip.
I'm not sick, but I would
And the
appreciate
beach
it.
just reopened a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. I can tell you, I recently had the experience of having my hair cut by my spouse, and I'm sure that is become a very popular thing. And it went well, but I think we could all agree that it'd be best if we get back to business as usual as soon as possible. I want to say thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. I think that's kind of we've kind of reached the end. We're actually way over time. But thank you everybody so much for joining us. Oscar, Omar, Callie, and Elise, thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
I feel very enlightened and hopeful about the future. And thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah, this was an
you,
amazing
guys.
time tonight, guys. Really quick, does anybody have any last final thoughts? Anything?
As an
Stay
essential
safe.
business owner, I would suggest that if you are reaching out to other essential businesses looking for work, don't bother. I get 30 or 40 emails a day, people looking for work right now because everybody's either furloughed, unemployed, stuff like that. It's rough as it is. Most of the essential businesses right now are holding on to what they have when they have it. None of them are really expanding unless they're in certain distribution markets, maybe.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like, just hunker down, stay safe, honestly.
For sure.
Enjoy it. I mean, when are we
Yeah,
ever going to have a
seriously.
chance to like just
creative.
not have to work? I mean, this is huge, and I would hate to look back and think I didn't take advantage of it like I should.
Right.
I think this is a good restart button for everybody. Like brainstorm what makes you happy and what finds you joy. If you're living your life right now and you're not doing what you love, now's the time to say, what else can I do that might give me more of a passion for life? So
Absolutely.
I think
you have the free time now.
Yes.
And I would say for those in
And
the
the good
industry
time.
and hospitality and those who might be new to restaurants or hotels, like if it's what you're passionate about, don't give up on it. Don't think that the industry is gone and dead forever, because we've faced these things before and we're going to come back like we have in the past. So if this is what you love, stick with it.
Yeah. What you're saying, like in the United States, we don't take siestas during the day. We don't have those breaks midday. We work harder
I do
than
now.
most other countries. I mean, Omar, you can attest to this. Like when you're working as a salaried manager at a hotel, I mean, you're there for hours, like many hours.
12 hours was a good
12
day.
Yeah, 12 hours is a good day. Exactly. So during a time like this, like take this as like your reset button. Like this is how you get you'll get back to work. You'll be refreshed, ready to go. I mean, I miss getting yelled at by people. Why? I don't know. That's terrible. It's a terrible
My
way to
wife,
drink.
she got a text saying the same thing. Like, I miss getting yelled at by guests.
Right.
We're at that point now.
Right, exactly. So thank you all so very much. Callie, did you have anything last to say?
I was just going to say, I have a t-shirt that says, I'm not lazy, I just enjoy doing nothing. And that is the epitome of how I'm living my life right now.
There you go. Perfect.
That's well said. And likewise, also, if you are an employer and you are looking, if you are staffing, if you're lucky enough to be like in demand, consider bringing on some people who are looking for work right now, because there are plenty of them out there. Elise, Oscar, Callie, and Omar, thank you very much again so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely.
We don't have normally we love to end the show with a new random video, but there was so much love for the video we showed on Thursday's show that we're going to do a little encore performance of it this one time, just because it's an amazing feat of
it's such a cool video
art.
I love this.
I'm excited,
and it is pretty wild, and I think it's just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But also, before we go, I also want to remind everyone we are on live every Monday and Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. This has been Corona with Lime. I'm Chris. That's Adam.
Thank you all.
Everyone who's on the Zoom call, I invite you to stay. I'm going to put you on mute for the duration of the video, but thanks everyone again for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody. The video, they at the end of each episode, they play a video, and this is the one from last week. They're playing it again because people like this.
I don't solve it, I dissolve it famously. I've been so politely at the bottom, pull it tight, bootstrap, strap it on and drop 'em. I've been so politely at the bottom, pull it tight, bootstrap, strap it on and drop 'em. In the past, I was patient, now I'm so tired. Feverish you, I will not drop it. Power cowards never stop it. I have nurtured you, corrupted. I am erupting, don't interrupt it. Careful, I'm an animal, trap. First of the secondary class. You know I don't trust you, it's the catch. Don't you fucking touch me, I will nash. Cause I am an old phenomenon, and I am an old phenomenon. Show them we believe, see the unforeseen. Sharpen K19, get those ringside seats. When the scorched of the earth come back by sea. Sip on joy, the purest drink. Move to make, thought to think. They can feel us from afar.
super easy to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I tried to-